Are we ready to get fashionable? Hey y'all, it's your girl Ava here. Welcome back to my channel. So a few months ago, only like a couple videos ago, I made a video all about my experience digitally cataloging my wardrobe for about a year using an app called Wearing. I got a fair bit of love on that video, and I first want to thank you guys for that. But also, I heard thoughts from people in my real life who watched that video expressing concern over, like, the practicality of doing the cataloging. Like, a lot of people simply don't have the time or bandwidth to catalog everything they own. That is perfectly understandable, but I also got an interesting question that I want to give a little bit of perspective on. The question basically was, how is the lengthy and particular process of cataloging my wardrobe going to inspire me? How do you, like, not get bored looking at your same closet on your phone over and over and resist the urge to buy more stuff for it? What is my style inspiration and how do I find it in myself? I feel like making a video and answering those questions will not only make for good content, but also help others get into this method of organizing and help you answer the question for yourself of, how do you find time to do this and why should I? Some of that was answered in my original video, mainly just like the why of why I did this. It's admittedly pretty particular to me and my brain. As a refresher, I was getting just immense decision fatigue after years of thrifting stuff from my closet and putting it in my wardrobe, and it was causing me to constantly wear shitty, easy things instead of dressing nice most of the time. That's why I did this. But that was only kind of one part of the process. Finding inspiration in and of itself is kind of a different beast. I'll say right now, some of it has come from the process of using Wearing and cataloging my whole wardrobe, but some of it also does come from just my passing interest in fashion and consuming fashion content online. So I want to talk about some of that stuff today. Just talk a bit about how I get inspired by my wardrobe or by imagery online, how I found the time to even get into this process, and why I think it's important. I might even try to show you guys some recent outfits I've come up with in an attempt to really think outside the box of my wardrobe as it is. So consider subscribing if you like hearing me talk about fashion. I'd love to make more videos on it in the future. Let's just get into chatting. So, the first thing I want to address, how I found the time to put everything into Wearing. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am currently unemployed. However, I started into this process when I was employed, and here's the thing. I was working from home when I started into this, I will admit. I also knew that I only had a portion of my closet out at one time when I started into this process, though. And to start out, I did not include everything that I would eventually end up cataloging. I kind of worked in sections, and that's what I highly suggest anyone do if you want to catalog your closet. I just took a couple evenings after I was done with my work from home job to lay out my clothes and start photographing them and Wearing. I cannot emphasize enough that you should work in sections if you have a big closet. You're right, it's not practical to take a photo of 200 plus things and fill in all the details of them all in one day. I excluded certain categories of item when I first started out, kind of assuming that that stuff would not ever enter the closet. But then I got deeper in, I started really relying on the app more frequently to get dressed in the mornings, and I decided I wanted to add some of that basic stuff that I would be wearing anyway. This includes tank tops, some jewelry, jackets, stuff I didn't really know I wanted in the app until I really started getting into it. I actually have the receipts right here. I can see exactly when I added a lot of my stuff. If I were to scroll down all the way in my closet, I can see that I started doing this process around May 1st of 2024. I was just getting out my summer clothes and I took a pic of all of it as I was going about my working days in early May. And it wasn't until, like, September 23rd, it looks, that I added all of my tanks, my jackets, cold weather stuff, some accessories I never considered to be part of a look, like sunglasses, even though now I very much consider them to be a fashion component. Same with bags. I can see I just added a few categories of item over the course of a few days in both May and September. And once everything I wanted to catalog was in, now I just make the habit of taking a photo of new stuff on the day I get it and add it to my wearing, which takes no time at all. I've even got eyeshadow palettes and now perfumes in my wearing app. Like, I've gone in so deep with it. But I totally understand if that's not practical for you in your everyday life. I find that adding things by category and also only adding in the stuff that you specifically want to style does help speed up the process. You definitely don't have to add your eyeshadows and perfumes in the app. Like, you don't even have smell-o-vision, so I don't really know why I wanted to inflate my stats and add my perfumes. But I also do kind of get it, which actually leads me into another question I got. How do you not get bored of what's in your closet, and how do you avoid spending more when it's all kind of laid out in front of you? That's a great question. I'm always itching to ask myself, how can I shake this up without spending money? And I must say, I've gotten pretty good at it in the time I've spent using wearing. And I've learned what can trigger me to spend money when using the app. So let's talk about it. I'll address the triggers first, because honestly, the answer to that is very simple. Basically, I get triggered to spend money when I notice very specific gaps in my wardrobe. Sometimes it's a basic thing I just don't have, and sometimes it's a very specific thing I see online that I'm like, oh, that might fit in. For example, I don't think I own any plain white t-shirts. I did in the past. I know my boyfriend also passed some along to me at some point here, but I don't really know where they are, and if they're still here, they're not cataloged in my app. And sometimes I think that an outfit I'm putting together really calls for a plain white t-shirt. This is an example of something basic that I might feel tempted to buy in order to fill that basic gap. The reality is, though, some gaps are worth filling, like a plain white t-shirt might be a smart purchase for me because that's a basic staple. But sometimes you may consider something a gap that's just another very specific thing you want. For me, currently, that's a cream or gray colored beret of some kind. I do love a beret, I have a couple of them, but I don't have any in very neutral colors. And to this day, I'm still thinking on the decision to get a neutral colored beret, because it's not something I can universally use necessarily. It's just another very specific gap in my wardrobe that I don't really need to fill. Maybe I will one day, but for now, I at least recognize that it's a purchase I can make in the future if I still have the desire to fill that gap. But a white t-shirt, I may have to get one of those soon here. But what if you don't want to spend money, or what if you want to act like you did just to catalog something new? The most basic thing I have to recommend for those of you that do want to catalog your wardrobe, regardless of if it's with index or wearing or whatever your form factor is to do what I said I've done and add stuff to the app that isn't necessarily a garment. This is something a lot of people I'm wearing are doing, and it's what inspired me to do the same. Some people add their makeup, like their eyeshadows or lipsticks, to the app, but I've seen other people add perfumes, books, charms, even just like cute splash text to their app. I follow one girl that likes to put imagery of various drinks on her wearing. And I fucking love that. Like, oh my god, I can't express how fun it is to scroll through someone's closet and see just anything they're passionate about or consider to be part of their look, or like an extra aesthetic element to an outfit photo. Wearing doesn't have categories for a lot of that stuff yet, they just end up being other accessories in the app. But it does somehow satisfy the magpie in my brain that loves aesthetics, but also likes spending money and acquiring things that will get me closer to whatever aesthetic I'm into at that time. Putting random shit in your wearing app kinda tricks your brain into thinking that you got a new thing when obviously you didn't really. But it also gives you the opportunity to incorporate your weird, out-of-the-box, not garment or accessory type of things into your outfits. It will, of course, count as an item that hasn't been worn in your closet, which if you're like me, is a bit devastating. I added my perfumes, for example, and my wear stats from the whole closet dropped from 95% to 89% in a matter of minutes. Now, in my heart of hearts, I know that that stat is way higher than it is now, because until now, it was tracking my garments and accessories, also some eyeshadows, and the number was 95%. But it's also kind of a good thing, because now I can also track which of my perfumes I'm actually using and pairing with looks most often. I can strive to get more use out of them instead of wildly guessing at which ones I'm neglecting and wearing the same things I always do. Psychologically, it works just like it did with my closet, and it kind of tricked my brain into feeling like my closet is a bit fresher and more inspiring now that I have new things I can pair with my looks. News in quotes, of course, because they aren't actually new things to me. It's just something I put in the app to feel like I have something new to work with. That being said, like I've been saying, you shouldn't feel shy to put a category of item you rarely wear into the app, just to see if you can make it work, you know? And same with the things you do wear frequently, like maybe you weren't considering them an element of your style. Like maybe it's just a purely utilitarian thing to you, like a bag or glasses or something. Just take a pic and throw it in, because you might surprise yourself and get inspired by something you have never felt inspiration towards before. Speaking on inspiration, this is kind of the main fun part of the video I wanted to talk about. What is my style inspiration? What inspires me inside and outside my closet that allows me to formulate more outfit ideas than the total number of items in my closet? Which, side note, I think is a very realistic and amazing goal if you want to start into this process yourself. Try to make or receive from friends more style, inspiration, and outfit ideas than the number of individual items you have cataloged. I mean, it makes sense if you have more potential combos of the things you wear than individual pieces. And the more you kind of parse through those combos and find stuff you like, the more everything starts to go with everything else, I promise. But yes, inspiration in general is kind of hard to pinpoint where it comes from, but I've got 3 major ways I gain inspiration for my outfits. And I'm gonna try to insert some B-roll of me using these methods to make and wear unique outfits. So, Method 1 is easy, if not sometimes a bit awkward. Follow random people on wearing. A lot of people keep their closets completely public on wearing, which allows you to go through their profile and kind of scroll through what they have. Depending on their visibility, you can also see the outfits they've saved, outfit submissions from their friends, things they've wishlisted. Like, you can basically see all they've got going on style-wise. And on your For You page, you can scroll through the feed and see all that stuff from anyone you follow, plus some content from people you don't follow. Now, I've always kind of been against that in social media. It's why I stopped using Facebook. Okay, one of the many reasons. But I usually feel like they're just showing me stuff I didn't sign up to see. I get annoyed, it bloats my feed so much that I don't see the things from the people I did sign up to see. I don't really mind it in wearing though, because it lets me just casually see what other people are finding fashionable in their or another person's closet. It frequently exposes me to people whose closets really inspire me or show me outfit ideas for different occasions and sometimes different formality levels. Let me give an example. The picture up on screen here is an outfit that someone on my wearing formulated for themselves using their own closet. And I really like this outfit. I saved it to my general outfit inspo mood board, which I highly recommend you do too. On Pinterest or in Wearing, like whatever site works for you. But I saved it not because I wanted to go out and find or buy these exact items to wear on my own body, but I added it with a specific piece I already own in mind that I can style in a similar way. And when I'm looking through inspo images of someone else's closet, I try to divorce their personal choice in color or garment from the takeaway elements of an outfit I like. If that makes sense. I guess what I mean by that is, in any image I take inspo from, I tend to just look at the elements of the look, like the type of garment it is, or the general drape, or the color combo, or print or textures. And I find pieces in my wardrobe that kind of deliver on that same brief. So this outfit, at its core, is a heavily printed sleeveless dress with a white collared shirt somewhere, earrings in a bag that loosely match the colors in the dress, generally whimsical accessories, and fairly neutral shoes. This outfit, the one I'm going to roll some B-roll of now, is my version of this outfit with the stuff I have that I'm formulated after saving and studying that inspiration image I found on my wearing feed. They're not at all the same visually. I mean, some elements of the drape are just different considering what I had to work with. Also, for example, the white collared shirt in the inspo has shorter sleeves than the one I put on for this look. It could go on under or over the dress. The inspo image didn't really make it clear. For comfort and my own personal style, I decided to put it over the dress and then tied it. And like, I love it. This is my version of that outfit. It screams my style, more so than the image I took inspo from was. And it's a combo I've probably not considered in the past. I usually use this dress as a spring and summer sort of staple, almost always wearing it by itself. But finding this inspiration from a real person planning their real outfits opened my eyes to maybe wearing this dress with more layered on top for cooler weather. In fact, after taking this B-roll, I filmed a little bit more. I decided to experiment putting this dress on top of something else. Again, this is just a cute combo I love, and I don't know if I would have discovered it if it weren't for just scrolling my wearing feed and finding someone who is layering their dresses like this. It's just wonderful to follow random people and see the style submissions they get sometimes. It's really fun. So that's one method of getting inspired. My second method is kind of a catch-all, pretty similar to my last one, and it can be done in wearing or outside of it. Just look at fashion imagery and watch content creators whose styles inspire you. Like I said in the last one, mood boards are your best friend for this one. I will recommend a video by the wonderful Hannah Louise Poston about how to find and curate fashion imagery to cultivate your personal style. She gives amazing advice on this kind of thing, better advice than I can give. But the type of fashion imagery you want to look at and might become inspired by will really vary from person to person and form factor to form factor. What I mean by that is, if you find yourself really inspired by, let's say, street style photography, like street imagery of people wearing their cool clothes and just walking around New York or something, prowl through Pinterest or even just like Google images for that kind of thing. Save the ones that inspire you to some sort of image collection and analyze why they do. Like, what about the image invokes the feeling of, I love this outfit, or I would wear this outfit. You can ask if it's the specific garments that are calling to you, but that is more likely to cause a purchase, especially if you're using a shoppable link on somewhere like Pinterest. I would more specifically ask yourself, can I make a version of this with what I have? And the answer will almost always be yes. You can, like, regardless of how statement and amazing an outfit you may see online is, you can almost always at least take inspiration from it and make a version of it with the stuff you already have. Here's an example of that in action. I personally am very inspired by like casual but still posed and intentional home fashion photography, also street photography. I found these two images on Pinterest and they both heavily inspire me. Now, these images are pretty different stylistically, right? Like, the color story is different, the drape is slightly different on each. But I formulated an outfit by taking inspiration from both of these images, so let me break it down. From the first image, what I took from it is the color arrangement. So the sweater matches the shoes, and the overlayer matches that color too. It did inspire me to want to buy boots of this tan color, like that went right on to my wish list. Considering that I might be letting go of some other older boots, I might actually pick up boots like that. But in the moment of wanting to recreate this look, I went for a very dark gray, basically black motif instead, because that's what I had and also what I'm most comfortable in. If you remember, the color breakdown of my wearing stats list black as my favorite color in my whole collection. Like, about a fourth of everything I own is black. So of course I did that. But I put a heeled dark boot with this cropped gray sweater, kind of taking inspo from the second pick, in terms of pairing a cropped sweater with a high skirt and belt. I did love the chains on the belt too, but I didn't have a belt that had chains like that. So I decided to get a little cheeky and just put like a little necklace through the belt to kind of hang down. I've seen people do this, like, back in the day on Tumblr, and it works to varying effects, I will say. I don't know if it totally sold this look for me, but it was just a cute detail I wanted to add. But I do just love this outfit. It's also very much me. But I thought of it through considering some images I curated just from, like, the internet. And similarly to how I worked the last outfit, I kinda just made it my own and used the colors and accessories I had the best access to. The funny thing about this outfit in particular is that it probably wouldn't have happened to this exact effect if I hadn't found ways to revive that skirt in my collection. See, the skirt I love, but it's like way too big on me. It had already been returned once and still didn't fit. So I had put it in storage a while ago, defeated and assuming I'd have to give it away. But I then found this high-waisted belt in my storage recently, after being inspired by looking at a lot of imagery of belted pants and skirts. And I decided to freak on it a little bit and use it with this too big skirt by hiking up the skirt a bit and then cinching it in with this belt in particular. The skirt doesn't have belt loops, so I was a bit worried it would be awkward looking, but I ended up loving it, especially with some kind of cropped top piece. Or with a slightly longer shirt tucked into the skirt. I've also worn it that way. It just works so well with the rest of this all-black look. It's dark and dramatic, but I love the slit of leg that peeks out with this generally pretty covered look. I just love this outfit, and I know it may seem pretty basic to some of you, and I'll admit the inspiration images I used for this look, and for a lot of my other looks, can be very basic photos. You just never know where inspiration is going to strike, so I save pins and outfit photos like a madman, and I refer to them whenever I need to plan some outfits. I think in my last video, I also talked about my methods of creating outfits using Wearing's Dress Me feature, and also by using outfit formulas. That was an idea I was exposed to through watching fashion content creators on YouTube, and I think it kind of applies to the last point I talked about too. Sometimes watching a video specifically of someone try to pair a type of garment together that you wouldn't think you could, and then watching a video of how it flows is kind of all you need to find ways to play with what you have. It's sometimes more about the combo of types of garments than it is about whether colors or prints are gonna work together. Sometimes if you think or worry too hard about that in particular, you're just never gonna be happy with your closet. I'm not saying things are never gonna clash, like some things in your closet will definitely clash, but finding new ways to combine and sometimes subdue your other pieces and make them work in more situations is just great. Which leads me to my third method, and this is something you can do right now in your closet. Find the most interesting ways to layer or repurpose your clothes. Now, I will say, the practicality of some of the outfits you may achieve using this inspiration method have the potential to be off. This may be due to seasonality, like maybe you live in a climate where wearing a lot of weird layers just isn't tenable. Maybe the drape and fit of some of the stuff you thought would look cool together just doesn't actually work in practice. An example I can think of is trying to fit a very slim fitted cardigan over some thick and chunky sweatshirt. Chances are good that's not gonna work. But I have a whole lookbook on my wearing that's just called Unique Layers, and it's the outfits that I really think I thought out of the box for, and try to repurpose stuff I don't usually get a lot of use out of. And they're all, in my opinion, amazing outfits, so I'm gonna show you two B-roll examples. One of them is an outfit I made with this midi dress here, and get ready for it, my Goro Majima cosplay jacket. So this dress is something I stole from my mother, I'm pretty sure, and I actually stole it and have worn it since I moved out with the intention of it being a sleeping dress. It's like an extremely casual, thin and bodycon, has been very grubby and gross at times, sleeping dress. Not everyone likes sleeping in dresses, I don't really mind it. But this one was always my favorite for that specific purpose. I never ever considered just wearing it, but I did always feel kinda sexy and very comfortable in it. And this jacket is literally a costume jacket I got from Amazon when I was cosplaying Goro Majima from the Yakuza series. Sorry, like a dragon. Also very much a look, also something I did not consider I would be able to just wear. Then a friend in my real life saw this jacket when I wore it for Halloween, and she was like, oh my god, I love this, I would just wear this. And coming from a pretty girl, that triggered a little idea in my head to add it to wearing and see what I could do with it. And yeah, I eventually got the idea to see what it would look like over this dress, actually give this dress an attempt at styling and see what would happen. And this is the outfit I came up with. Now, am I going out today in this outfit? No, I am not. But do I think this looks amazing, especially with the high-waisted belt from earlier, giving it a little more shape and texture, and a matching texture on the shoes? Yes, I do. I tried to elevate it to a bit of a higher level of formality than I would usually wear using the jewelry and shoes I selected too, but that makes this an even more interesting outfit to find an occasion for. But I can also severely dress it down as much as I want with less formal or no jewelry at all, because the dress is already extremely casual. I even have another jacket option for it if the Majima print feels like a bridge too far. It's just a great outfit I basically made out of pajamas. Here's another outfit I formulated through the same method of layering stuff I wouldn't usually layer, and this can also be to a much more formal effect, I think. So, the bottom layer of this outfit is this amazing black cocktail dress. Well, it might not actually be a cocktail dress, but that's kind of how I view it. I don't remember where I got this because I've had it since college. I'm pretty sure I've worn it to a few formal college events, and then never really have gotten it back out since. It's a miracle it still fits me this well. Like, this dress is still a killer in my closet that just doesn't get much use. It feels much like a bridge too far in my everyday life. But then I got this idea. Put a shirt of some kind on top, like a tight white or a black turtleneck or something similar, to cover the part of what makes this dress so formal, which I think is the neckline and the sort of shearing up on the breast. And then put a cardigan on top of that to hide what might be a weird looking layer over the dress. I threw on some chunky boots, but you can put on whatever shoes you want really, whatever formality level you want to go for, and you've got a look like this. Not only is it using the formal dress I've never been able to style casually, but the look, just like the last one, can be adjusted in small ways to really up or down the formality level and make it more appropriate for more occasions and seasons. For me personally, this isn't an uncomfy amount of layers, and the way I'm layering the pieces isn't very intrusive to, like, the ergonomic practicality of the outfit. But yeah, all I did was take pieces I don't usually wear in these ways, layer them or repurpose them for interesting combos, and just try it. Just get your life in these layered outfits. I promise it will unlock something special in you and in the potential of your closet. So, to kind of summarize and wrap everything up, fashion is a journey, yeah? All aspects of finding personal style, from buying the clothes to choosing outfits for your most special occasions, it all kind of feeds into everything else, yeah? Inspiration can be the thing that leads you to make purchases, but it can also lead you to find new ways of playing with what you have. And I swear the key is just to look at what's out there. Look around at strangers, ask questions, formulate the appropriate search query. Like, whatever you have to do to curate images that inspire you, or to get you to think about what you're wearing in a different way. If it works, it will all make an insane difference. You don't even necessarily need to catalog your closet to do this. If you have a way of keeping fashion inspiration in your mind palace, or if you just have the time to randomly play dress up in your closet, get it, girl. Like, just do it. I don't have that luxury. I absolutely needed a way to visualize everything I had and, give myself the grace to hem and haw over what could be worn with what. Because for me, I just wasn't able to do that in my head until I started using an app. But like I said, if you don't struggle with this in the same way I do, it's not necessary for you to put in the bit of work it takes to catalog everything. But this video, I hope, was more just general fashion inspiration, like a more zoomed out view of how I think of outfits. Remember, if you're using wearing, the clueless closet is always an option too. Literally just let the program randomize its pairings for you and see if you like what it spits out. But if you want to think very consciously about fashion, and maybe are in a rut deciding what to wear, or you're wondering how I have over 600 outfits saved on wearing, this video is for you. So thank you for watching this if you did. I hope I was able to provide some sort of inspiration given the outfits I've shown you today. Remember to subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed this, and as always, I want to start conversations about fashion in the comments. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I will go ahead and see you in another video. Bye for now.